Most fashion designers fail, not because they are bad, but because they lose themselves in their own genius. Designers such as Haider Ackermann, Helmut Lang, Gareth Pugh, Yiqing Yin, Hussein Chalayan, Boris Bidjan Saberi, Damir Doma, and Alexander Wang have shaped people's styles, and yet many of their brands have disappeared, paused, or changed significantly. Why is that? And what can you learn from this if you want to build your own fashion brand? The truth is, most brands fail not because of their design, but because of their structure. Because of a lack of clarity, wrong decisions, too much speed. Talent is important, but without a system, it remains just a spark that quickly fades away. Today, we'll look at what these designers stood for, why their brands faltered, and what lessons you can learn from them. Yiqing Yin was known for couture that almost looked like art, dresses that seemed to come alive, flowing fabrics, layers of light and movement, beautiful but extremely elaborate and expensive. This type of fashion is difficult to translate into larger quantities or stable income. Her work shows how important it is to transform creative ideas into clear, repeatable processes. Otherwise, it remains art but not business. Lesson: if you want to turn dreams into fashion, you need marketable products that are easier to produce and sell. Hussein Chalayan was one of the most innovative thinkers in fashion. He combined technology, architecture, and philosophy. His shows were like experiences that raised questions about identity and the future. But this very strength was also his problem. It was too complex to sell as a brand in the long term. His fashion often remained a concept, but not a wearable collection. Lesson: great ideas must find a bridge to everyday life. Only then can art become a brand that lasts. Gareth Pugh was pure energy. His shows were like theatre, full of metallics, black mirrors, and dramatic shapes. They were unforgettable, but spectacular moments do not bring a steady source of income. If you want to build a brand, you need both art and everyday life. The stage attracts attention, but the products pay the bills. Lesson: make your vision wearable. Otherwise, it will disappear as soon as the applause ends. Helmut Lang is considered the father of modern minimalism. His fashion was clear, reduced, intelligent, technical fabrics, sharp cuts, unexcited, but full of meaning. He rethought fashion. At some point, he retired because the industry became too fast, too loud, too consumer-oriented for him. He turned to art, and his brand was continued by others. And although it still exists, it is no longer the same. When the founder leaves, a brand easily loses its soul. Lesson: a brand is like a language. When you hand it over, you have to make sure that its grammar remains intact. Haider Ackermann stands for pure elegance, for flowing shapes, soft colors, and fine fabrics. His fashion is emotional, sensual, poetic, but such sensitivity needs a structure that can support it. His own brand was beautiful, but economically unstable. Today he works for other houses where he can continue his language. Lesson: if your own label overwhelms you, it's rarely because of a lack of talent. It's because your system doesn't match your sensibility. Build structures that protect you, not burn you out. Boris Bidjan Saberi created fashion like modern armor, dark structured layers, leather, technical fabrics. His clothes were like tools, raw, honest, durable. His fans loved him for it, but his production methods were so artisanal and individual that growth became almost impossible. Too much manual labor, too little scaling. Lesson: build systems that scale your authenticity so that your brand lives on even when you're not in the studio every day. Damir Doma designed fashion for quiet observers, intellectual, calm, restrained in color, and aesthetic for people who don't shout fashion but feel it. But that was precisely the problem. The market didn't understand him. His language was too quiet for a loud industry. Lesson: if no one understands you, you don't exist. Your brand needs a clear message that simply communicates what you stand for. Alexander Wang is a special case. He was the rock star among designers. Young, cool, urban, black looks, street style, party atmosphere. He created the lifestyle of an entire generation and even worked with H&M and Balenciaga. But then allegations of sexual misconduct changed everything. He withdrew, paused his shows, and fought to regain trust. Later, he started over with a new and modern communication strategy and attitude. Lesson: a brand is not just style, it's also reputation. Everything you do shapes how people perceive you. Trust is the foundation of every brand. When you put all these stories side by side, you see a pattern. First, creativity without structure burns out. Second, a brand without clear DNA loses its way as soon as the founder leaves. Third, growth without a system creates chaos. Fourth, a good idea is worthless if no one understands it. And fifth, without values and a sense of responsibility, even the strongest brand can collapse. So what can you do to avoid this? Define clear guidelines for your brand. 5 things that are never negotiable: materials, silhouettes, tone, values, attitude. Develop a main line that is stable and sustainable, and a creative line where you can experiment freely. This will keep you economically and artistically balanced. Create processes for production and communication that fit your style. And above all, choose your pace of growth based on what you can really handle, not on what others expect of you. Creativity is your fire, structure is your shield. These designers have shown how brightly an idea can burn and how quickly it can be extinguished if it has no foundation. You don't have to choose between art and business. You have to combine the two, because that's the only way your brand can live, grow, and endure. If you want to learn how to build your first collection from idea to production without losing yourself in the process, then discover you for yourself today. I'll show you step by step how to launch your brand the right way. Welcome to You, where creative dreams learn strategy.